as a CEO, like anyone listening, to get to your next level, you literally have to bring your body with you. And like your body is like the first stop on this physical plane, and it's what's moving you through life. And so if you're aligned in your body, like it's like a lightning rod of stability, confidence, power, you know. And if you're not aligned in your body, it's more like noodly, wavy. You're more subject to your circumstances, you're less in flow, and you can't be as receptive to like what the universe is trying to communicate with you, because I believe your intuition is heightened when you're more in touch with your body, and you're more in touch with your body when you're physically like nurturing it and listening to it. And I think your intuition is one of the keys to your success, which I know you kind of teach of it with your work, like the soul aligned businesses. It's like your soul is your intuition, and in order to like access that, you kind of have to like clear some of the cobwebs and like get to yourself. And so on a physical level, like that's number one. And then number two, as we mentioned earlier, like the energy that you bring to your food affects how you digest it, but also like food affects your energy. And so my goal for anyone walking through my program is to leave feeling, I was about to swear, but feeling light, light as ever. And when you're feeling light, like you're in flow, you're receptive, things aren't heavy, and you're more of a magnet to success.
Hello, my extraordinary women friends. Happy summer. Our guest today is Hannah McKitrick, the founder of My Intuitive Health. Hannah will be one of our guest speakers at the Extraordinary Women Ignite Conference, November 2nd through 4th. Ignite is the transformative event where you want to be. It's a conference that changes lives every year. Women entrepreneurs gather to amplify their voices, they unleash their visions, and elevate their visibility. It's the ultimate opportunity to ignite your wild success, building a thriving business with more time prosperity and wealth prosperity, and connect with a supportive community of extraordinary women. Tickets are now on sale at camigelner.com/ignite. Hannah will be speaking about cooking as your next business strategy. Now, I believe that taking care of our bodies, our vessels that serve us, that allow us to serve our clients, is an important CEO skill set. Hannah uses a unique approach that combines cooking with energy to transform your well-being from the inside out. We are going to be talking about building marketing from the inside out, about doing branding from the inside out, and also about cooking and transforming our well-being from the inside out. Hannah uses food and the energy that you bring to cooking as the alchemical vehicle to bring more lightness into your entire being, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. I am super excited to have her join our circle. Let's meet Hannah McKitrick. Well, welcome to Extraordinary Women Radio, Hannah. It is great to have you here today.
Thank you, Cami. It's great to be here.
Yeah, and you're going to be traveling from where come this November to join us at Ignite?
I'm traveling from Massachusetts, so the other side of the country.
Yeah. Well, I'm really, really very excited as we were just chatting about how excited I am to have you on the stage at Extraordinary Women Ignite this year. This is my 9th year of doing this event, and food is something, food and wellness is something that I am very, very passionate about. And I believe that your message, when I was first reading about your message, I'm like, you're spot on for what I want to bring to our stage. And I'm a big believer that we have to nourish our bodies as entrepreneurs, as CEOs. We have to take care of our bodies in good ways. So perfect fit. So welcome to the stage that we're going to be having in November. And if you guys want to check out Ignite, it's camigelner.com/ignite. Go out and see all the details on it, where Hannah is going to be joining us. So let's just dive in. I want to hear about your story. How did you get into the world of wellness and food and all the good things that you're doing?
Yeah, of course. So I would say first and foremost, I was born a foodie. Like
That's
I
awesome.
love food. And
Hmm.
um, I had the pancake recipe memorized by age 5.
Oh
I
my
was
goodness.
I was the youngest of 4, so I kind of had to fend for myself. So I was
Yeah.
I was cooking pancakes and I really loved it. And when I was 12, I actually went through kind of this big trauma at sleepaway camp. And
Uh-huh.
when I came home, I was like ridden with anxiety and like so many feelings. And simultaneously, I got diagnosed with Crohn's disease, which is an autoimmune
Mm.
disease with inflammation in the gut. And obviously, the
Oh, wow. When you're
mind,
12.
yeah, and I was 12. And
Wow.
so I was really emotionally like all over the place. And physically, like it was pretty bad.
Hmm.
And I kind of lived in that heaviness for many years, I would say. And I had no concept really of like what was healthy or what to eat, like because I was just basically starving, and so I was eating
You were
like
just doing the
chips.
diet culture.
Yeah, no, actually, I was like I was literally starving because I wasn't absorbing nutrients.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so I was just eating like to survive, really.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until I was 19 that I was introduced to this healing diet
Hmm.
with a holistic practitioner. And and basically I had been hospitalized at least once a year, usually twice a year with my Crohn's disease, and it got to the point where they were going to have to do surgery. And I was kind of like, okay, no, like let's try something else. And so it was at that point that the fear of surgery warranted the desire to change my diet because I didn't
Right.
want to before that. And so
Yeah.
I worked with this guy, and I basically ate cooked vegetables, cooked grains, and lean protein. And that was it.
Hmm.
And I still remember vividly, like all of these adults coming up to me. I mean, I was an adult, but I was a little adult. And they were all like, "Oh, do you feel amazing? You must feel so good, like eating that clean food." And I was like, "No, I am miserable." Like,
I'm hungry.
yeah, like, but more than that, like all of my creativity was sucked out. Like
Oh,
I said,
yeah.
I love food and I love cooking, um and the thing was, I was able to get full, but I was never satisfied.
Hmm.
And so I did that for a couple of months, and it really did work on a physical level, but on an emotional level, it absolutely did not. And so eventually, I was able to start adding things back into my diet. Like I was going back to college that fall, so like alcohol was on the menu, and so was like late night pizza and um, but the difference going back was that I now had this like pretty strong foundation of like what was really simply healthy, like vegetables and whole foods. Like it wasn't that complicated. And so I really had that like I in the back of my mind, but really in the forefront of my mind,
Right.
which then allowed for going out with my friends and eating that late night pizza. And it actually worked, like in the sense that now I had this flexibility, and I also had that physical foundation.
Hmm.
And so that was that was 11 years ago, and I haven't
Hmm.
had a flare up since.
Wow. Wow. So
And
what shifted?
yeah.
What was the piece that shifted it for you?
So I think that it was when I was finally able to marry the physical and emotional health and really
Mm.
tend to both of them because at different points in my life, either one of those was suffering like big
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
And like I'll be the first one to tell you, like people will be making boxed brownies around me and they're like, "Oh my God, don't look." And I'm like, "No, that's amazing." Like like I'm far from perfect. Like that's not the name of the game.
Yeah.
I think perfection is what causes that stress on the
Yeah.
body, right?
Yeah.
Like trying to be perfect. And
Yeah.
so letting go of perfection and welcoming in the fluidity of my own intuition of what I'm craving, even if it's not perfect, and really honoring my physical body
Yeah.
with the innate foods that I know it responds well to, which are vegetables and whole foods. Again,
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I think when I was finally able to harmonize the needs of my body and of my mind, without making it wrong,
Mm-hmm.
that that really helped. And it makes it into that's what makes it intuitive for me. It's because it's not something that is so rigid, or else like
Yeah.
forget it. Like,
Yeah.
like who wants
Yeah.
to do that?
I
Um,
totally get that. And I've been on my own food journey the last few years. I worked with an Ayurvedic coach. I been
mhm.
working with a functional nutritionist coach for the last year, and or doctor, functional nutritionist doctor. And that's the thing I've learned, right? Is that if if we're like counting everything and counting calories and it's just it's like such a different energy than
Yes.
versus just eating good foods and making choices. I love that you listen to your intuition
Hmm.
and said, this is what my body needs and wants. And how do you designate that need and want when it's really not what you need?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So the third part that I integrate
Mm-hmm.
is my soul.
Yeah.
And
And
so
that's what I think why I loved,
yeah,
when we were talking about Ignite, I was like, that fits right in there.
exactly. Because
Yeah.
because here's the thing. Sometimes like your mind is craving something, right?
Yeah.
That your
Yeah.
body isn't.
Yeah.
And so when there's that disconnect there, I kind of bring it to my soul. I'm like, what would my soul want? And
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
like for me personally, my soul is kind of snarky, and so usually my soul is toasting a glass of prosecco with someone, or like my soul is kind of like, oh, just have the cookie, like you know what I mean, like my soul is kind of like, let's have fun.
Uh-huh.
So for me that's, everyone's different, but
Right.
that's kind of where the
It's
intuition is.
a deeper
Yeah,
listening. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly,
I
exactly. And
love
it's
it.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so you go down this pathway, you're discovering all of
Yes.
this, what's working for your body.
Yes.
How did your business come to be?
Yeah, so um after college, I got my first job. It was like in outside sales at a
Mm-hmm.
corporate catering company. And I was like, oh my God, I get to combine food with like real person business. This is so fun. Um, and I thought it was the best job ever. And then I was there for like 2 years and I was like, okay, I'm bored. What's next? And
Mm-hmm.
so that's when I really took a leap of faith and jumped all in on my passion and
Mm-hmm.
went to culinary school in Italy.
Cool.
And it was in southern Italy, in Calabria, and it was just like, talk about alignment. Like I was born for it. It was every day I'd wake up there and it would be the best day of my entire life. And then I'd go to sleep and wake up again and it was just like, and it wasn't even like people were like, "Oh, so like do you want to be a chef?" And I was like, "No. No, I don't. I just know that I want to do this right now and I don't know where
Yeah.
it's going to lead, but
Yeah.
I just liked to be around the energy of the food and the teaching and the group." And
Yeah.
so that, and then I came home, which was sad because it's like, how do I top life after
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
And honestly, that is one of the things that set the bar for how good life can be for me. And I got to
Mm-hmm.
see that.
Yeah.
And yeah. And so I had a couple, I had, so then the next job after that, I worked at Italy in Boston, which is like an Italian food emporium.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on their marketing team and working in their cooking classes. And again, like dream job, but the culture for me didn't fit. It
Mm-hmm.
was very grindy and not creative enough for me.
Yeah.
And I was able to make it work through a lot of yoga.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I really started diving more into the background and the science behind nutrition, because
Uh-huh.
I had free time because I, whatever. And so I started studying on my own, taking courses about nutrition, because I was like, well, I healed my gut. Like, I kind of want to know more about this. And so um, eventually I took my studies all the way to London at the Academy of Healing Nutrition.
Nice.
And I was in my wellness era. Like, I was like, this is so fun. I just want to learn it all. Um, and then I got a job in that field after that. And then right around then is when the pandemic hit.
Okay.
And then it became really clear, like, what was important and what wasn't important to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And this is when, and we were speaking earlier about this, I just got this direct download, like, from my soul, the universe, whatever. It was like Italy, retreats, cooking, wellness. Like, that was
It
it.
all fits together. It all fits
And
together.
and I was like, it was like, and I'd had these dreams before, like I'd fantasized about running a retreat in Italy, but never, like, I never thought it would be possible ever. Um,
And here you are. This is what you do.
and here I am. Yeah. I still can't believe it,
Yeah.
honestly.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. And so one of the things I love, so now tell us a little bit about how you're working with clients, because you are doing all those things. Now you are leading retreats, and tell us more.
Yeah. So my work with clients, I have um, I have a virtual program called Cookwell,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a 10-week immersive program.
Mm-hmm.
And we literally do step-by-step cooking classes. And also, I'm a transformational life coach, so
Mm-hmm.
that can't not be weaved
You're
in.
just weaving all the right pieces together, right?
Exactly. And
Yeah.
like, the tangible outcome is from that is that, like, cooking becomes fun for people,
Yeah.
and they get a really embodied sense of what it's like to cook nourishing foods that taste so freaking good.
Yeah.
Um, but the, like, esoteric outcome of that is, like, people people are just, like, happy and feel
Yeah.
more connected and
Yeah.
um lighter,
Yeah.
like, physically, emotionally. It's like, honestly, I think the universe honestly guided me to have my business be around cooking, because
Yeah.
I'm lightest in the
Uh-huh.
kitchen.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I'm holding that space, right?
Yeah.
And others then entrain to that space.
Yeah.
And then they bring that energy to their food, and then they digest that food. And so it's a really beautiful cycle
Mm-hmm.
that feeds the mind, the body, and the soul. And so that's my, like, 10-week kind of baseline program.
Uh-huh.
And then my mastermind is similar to that, but it's longer. So
Mm-hmm.
it's more in depth. It's
Yeah.
four
And it
months.
takes a while. It takes a while to shift
Oh
and
yeah,
make transitions in your life, right?
oh,
When you're talking
totally.
about this. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's.
I mean, I've been with my functional nutritionist now for a year, just about a year, and I'm not done. I'm still learning. I'm still
Oh, me
growing.
me too. I'm
Yeah.
still learning. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's like I never not want to be learning about it, because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
cool. And there's always something new to integrate, and a new area to up level in your life. Like, maybe it starts with your body, and then it moves on to your business. Like, how can you be lighter in your business? And then it moves
Yeah.
on to your relationship. How can you be lighter here? And it's all connected.
Yeah. So
Um,
good. So good.
yeah, yeah.
And
And
then
so
you are doing retreats in Italy too.
yes, so the retreat is part of my high level mastermind program. So
Yeah.
that's the one that's a bit longer. It's 4 months. And it's cool because it starts out virtually with one cohort, and we travel along the journey virtually together. And then at the end of it, we go on a culinary and wellness retreat in
Mm-hmm.
southern Italy, where I actually went to culinary school. So,
Yeah.
like, total full circle. Um, and the retreat itself is like, it's just like the cherry on top of the sundae. It's a really beautiful transformation, and it's a mix of pure play, like traditional Italian cooking lessons, pasta making, pizza parties, mixed with like shamanic sound healing and like transformational coaching, mixed with like wine tastings and cocktail parties and farm to table dinners. And um, it's like, I think of it as like integration of fun,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because like
Mm-hmm.
it's deeply healing, but
Yeah.
the healing comes from the fun
Yeah.
that we have. And
Yeah.
I've been on many retreats. I love retreats. Don't tempt me with with a retreat because I'll go. Um, and sometimes it can just be like a like a little too deep and like a little too like into the
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
heaviness, which
Uh-huh.
like totally time and place for that.
So
Like
different. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
I do that too. But sometimes it's nice to like get that level of healing in a different from a different
Through
avenue.
the fun. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
from Italy, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And so how are you weaving the I mean, I think you're going right back to just the wholeness of foods, right? It's
Hmm.
the flavors, the richness, the that versus and getting away from a lot of the produced like
Yeah, the
produced foods.
process. Yeah.
Yeah, processed foods, yeah.
Yeah, so one of the really cool things, Cami, like and I think this says it all. So in Italy, we are eating homemade pasta, homemade pizza, we're drinking wine that's made on the property.
Yeah.
We're eating homemade gelato that we just like all made together and like focaccia with like burrata that like the cow they made 2 weeks ago, and like we're eating a lot of food, like rich food in
Uh-huh.
theory, and
Mm-hmm.
everyone on the retreat couldn't believe how good they felt,
Mm-hmm.
like physically they felt so
Mm-hmm.
good. And I think it's in a testament to the energy that you bring to food. And like people say this,
Mm.
right? Like I go to Italy and I can eat the pasta and it's even though I'm gluten free, people have heard that before, and
Yep.
it really is like, where we're cooking, it's like this culinary school with a 360 view of the Ionian Sea. And Chef John, who I collaborate with, is helping to lead the classes with me. And we're both just like, food. And everyone else is like, we're in it. And like, that energy is infiltrated into the food. And like,
Mm.
your body, your body is energy. And so it recognizes it versus like the stuff, like if you buy a cardboard box at the grocery store in
Yeah.
Massachusetts, like it's not really like,
Yeah.
smiling back at you. And
Yeah. Yeah.
um
I mean, that's kind of along the lines of the Ayurvedic stuff that I was learning too, because it's like about what's the energy the food what's the energy in the food. So like they recommend you
yeah,
don't freeze foods, right? Because
right,
that takes the energy out of the food.
right.
So it's fascinating, something that you think about what's the energy of this apple or something
Hmm.
along those lines. And it's something to really to feel into.
Yeah, and I was reading about this study recently, and it was like they had two apples. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if you've heard this before,
Uh-uh.
but one of the apples, they like shamed all week just with words.
Oh,
It
yeah,
was like,
yeah.
"You're so bad, you're blah blah blah," and then the other apple, they sung its praises, like,
Wow.
"You're great, everything's amazing," blah blah blah. And at the end of the week, they cut the two apples in half, and like the one that was shamed was rotten.
Wow.
And this one was completely
Wow.
untouched.
That's crazy.
And it's
That's an
like
easy experiment we can play with, right?
totally, totally. And
Yeah,
like,
and it's just how we approach making our food on a
right.
day-to-day basis.
Yeah. And like, if there's people in front of me, I'd be like, raise your hand if you've ever shamed yourself while eating a cookie.
Yeah.
And I'm sure everyone would raise their hand because that's what we're taught to do versus like
Yeah.
having this homemade cookie and be like, oh my gosh, like I made this. It's so gooey. It's
Amazing.
so good. Like, then your system can actually digest that.
Oh, I love it. I totally love it. I love that, just looking at the energy of our food and the energy of how we approach our food. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So you're going to be talking at Ignite about cooking as your next business strategy. And I totally get it because I think that this is, we hit on this. Is like, I believe we have to nourish our bodies in a good way to be, great CEOs. So tell us a little bit more what cooking and business strategy have to do with each other.
Yeah, totally. So I would say as a CEO, like anyone listening, to get to your next level, you literally have to bring your body with you.
Yeah.
And like your body is like the first stop on this physical plane,
Yeah.
and it's what's moving you through life. And so if you're aligned in your body, like it's like a lightning rod of stability, confidence, power, you
Yeah.
know? And if you're not aligned in your body, it's more like noodly, wavy, you're more subject to your circumstances, you're less in flow, and you can't be as receptive to like what the universe is trying to communicate with you, because I believe your intuition is heightened when you're more in touch with your body. And
Mm.
you're more in touch with your body when you're physically like nurturing it and listening to it.
Yeah.
And I think your intuition is one of the keys to your success, which I know you kind of teach of it with
Yeah.
your work, like the soul
Yeah.
aligned businesses. It's
Right.
like your soul is your intuition. And in order to
Yeah.
like access that, you kind of have to like clear some of the cobwebs and like get to yourself. And so on a physical level, like that's number one.
Yeah.
And then number two, as we mentioned earlier, like the energy that you bring to your food affects how you digest it, but also like food affects your energy. And
Yeah.
so my goal for anyone walking through my program is to leave feeling, I was about to swear, but feeling light, light as ever.
Yeah.
Um, and when you're feeling light, like you're in flow, you're receptive, things aren't heavy, and you're more of a magnet to success,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Totally agree with all of this.
Yeah.
So it's going to be awesome. So, what will you be sharing at Ignite? Like, give us a little, just a little, not all, obviously we can't give it all away, but give them a
You
little
have to
sliver.
come. You have to come to find out.
Give them a little sliver.
Yeah, so I'm gonna kind of be expanding upon that more,
Mm-hmm.
um, and really getting people to imagine that felt sense of what it would be like to like not worry about how you're feeling physically
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
what that would make available if you didn't feel bad about yourself. And if you're, I find with a lot of um, driven entrepreneurs is that they have really good intentions about
Mm-hmm.
being healthy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't we
Yeah.
all?
Yeah.
And there's something really challenging about when intention doesn't align with your actions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because that creates such a dissonance, you know?
Yeah.
It's like
Yep.
you're telling yourself I want to be healthy, but then you're not you're not
Yeah.
moving, you're
And
not
your
eating.
body's going, what is this? Right?
Exactly. And so one of the things that I like to teach is finding a way where it doesn't feel like you're forcing anything and it feels intuitive. It feels easy to be healthy.
Mm.
I like to remove the blocks of someone getting to that goal of being healthy. And the way that I do that is I make cooking fun. I make it flavorful, so flavorful and healthy. And I
Yeah.
bring a community around that. So it's like you're hanging out with your girlfriends and like it's like everyone looks forward to that versus like, oh, I have to be healthy. But instead it's like, oh, I'm gonna go hang out with my friends. I'm gonna chat with Hannah and I'm gonna make like pesto spaghetti squash with goat cheese and artichokes and sun-dried tomatoes and then it gets embodied into your system. You your your body kind of like memorizes that action and it's able to actually like repeat it. Like I'm not
Mm.
telling you like go be healthy. Like I'm giving you an experience that you can remember
Yeah.
and that your system can then intuitively repeat. Which I find is helpful because like like so many people can tell you how to be healthy and I'm just like I don't know, like
Yeah.
it's
It's a
too much.
different. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm so excited that this is what you're going to be sharing at Ignite. I think it's awesome. You know, you and I were chatting before we jumped on here about Sherry Hess, who's also been on Extraordinary Women
Yeah.
Radio. and she's been to Ignite multiple times. And Sherry talks about flavor in that way, right? It's like, let's just
Right.
enjoy our flavors. Let's taste the flavors. Let's, and it's the same energy. Like, it's like we're like wrapping our love around what's the,
Mhm.
that flavor of this, right? And she was posting something, I think just this morning, about cinnamon. And I'm like, oh, I love cinnamon. And,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's like you feel that. And so anyway, you guys need to be at Ignite.
Totally. And
Yeah.
like one of the things I also, which I think is fun about kind of the embodied practice that I do, is that
uh,
I like to give people their power back in choice. And so,
uh,
like I just said, the pesto spaghetti squash with goat cheese and artichokes and sun-dried tomatoes, I think it's yummy. However, if you don't like goat cheese, like that's great. Like don't use goat cheese. And like
yeah.
you can kind of, if you don't have basil, like you can use parsley, and it kind of people learn the autonomy of their own choice versus like I think
Yeah.
sometimes people like look
You
at a
just
recipe.
automatically throw stuff in.
Yeah, or like they'll look
Yeah.
at a recipe and they don't have everything exactly and they're like, well, I can't do that. And then it just again like that becomes another block between them and their goal of
Yeah.
eating well. And it's like, how can you train your creative muscle in the kitchen to like cha 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 and like, use what you have so that it doesn't become like this whole thing. You don't have to like meal prep with like pretty little Tupperwares. Like you can
Yeah.
actually like grab what you have and like, um, yeah.
Just go with what's there, and what your body, what sounds good to your body in that moment,
Yeah, and
and be open
gain
to the creativity of it, I think.
exactly like gain that creative skill because I
Yeah.
am like I'm the first one to like understand like don't worry if you don't know anything in the kitchen. Like
Yeah.
I like you have to start somewhere, right? And
Yeah.
I started when I was 5, so like I know a lot of things, but
Yeah.
like it just takes time to like for you to know what you like and like
Yeah.
even when I'm roasting a squash, like I'll tell people like I like mine a little charred and crispy because then it gets caramelized and the natural sugars come out and it gets sweet. But like if you like yours a little more al dente with no color, like take it out now. Like that
Yeah.
type of thing.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
My husband went to culinary school.
He
I mean,
did?
he doesn't work in the culinary industry at all,
Yeah.
but we were probably married about 2 years, I'm guessing, when he decided he was going to go to culinary school, and it was a great thing for me.
Oh.
And he did get to go to Italy and to France, and for some of that, but most of his training was done in Colorado. But it was a great program for him, and then he works for FEMA, so right, that's who he works for now, and he has for many years. And he was going to go work in the restaurant industry, and he was like, I really don't want to do that. It's
Yeah.
a lot of work. Um,
I know. I knew like from day like 0, I knew I didn't want to work in a restaurant because
yeah,
that's not where my magic is. Like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
mine is
So
in
he's gonna love hearing some of your wisdom here. I know he's
oh
going to like that.
yeah.
But I love having, so I love good food myself, and I love good wine, and so I love the flavors of all of that. So um anyway, I'm super excited to have you at Ignite. Ignite's the Ignite URL is camigellner.com/ignite. You guys jump out and grab your tickets. Where can people find more about you, Hannah?
Yeah, so my website is myintuitivehealth.com. That has all my fun programs and offerings, and I'm also pretty active on Instagram, which is just hannah.mckitrick.
I've already saved one of your recipes.
Yes. Yeah, I'll
So,
post fun recipes and
yeah,
usually
totally.
dancing with a knife in the kitchen and something like
Yeah,
that.
I
So,
like it. I like
yeah.
it. And the final question I always close with are, what are 3 pearls of wisdom you'd like to leave with us today?
Mm. I don't know why this is the first one that came to me. And this is what I do. Always keep a bag of homemade cookies in your freezer.
I
Even though
keep
you just said don't freeze your food, but I freeze my
I
foods.
keep a bag of chocolate chips in the freezer,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I can just get a little bit of chocolate out.
Yeah. Yeah. The other one, this quote I had across my first corporate job cubicle, which led me to Italy. It said, "Life isn't nearly as serious as the mind makes it out to be," which I
Mm,
love.
totally.
And then mm, let it be fun.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that.
Let
I
it be
like that.
fun. And, in the fun is healing. And
Yeah.
I know a lot of your audience are like growth driven, self growth driven entrepreneurs. And like, I think sometimes we can get into that space of like, um, I gotta shed the next thing. I gotta heal this. I gotta heal that. And it's like, what if the only thing you had to do is have fun?
Mm, that's so good. I love it. I love it. Well, I look forward to having you in the room in
Me
November,
too.
and we will see you then. Thank you so
Yay.
much.
Thank you, Cami.
Mhm.